Do you see Snyder finally doing it?
Oh, yeah. I told you for years now. Billionaires don't like being told what to do. And I count Dan Snyder among those people who don't want to be told what to do. But he will, as I said, obediently stand up at that podium and change that name, and he will even eventually apologize. That is what's going to happen. Daniel Snyder, get it through your head. That's what's going to happen. The absurd idea that, and by the way, they bring up studies. See, Native Americans really aren't offended by the name. That is so insulting to my intelligence. You want to just think of the name itself, where the name came from, what it means, who it refers to, how it's used to disparage. Talk to Native Americans you know who are on reservations, by the way, not someone whose cousin's uncle is Native American. I'm talking about people who are living the experience culturally, and ask them how they feel about the name, or better yet, go to a reservation and start calling people that. See what happens. I've gone to reservations, Stephen A., just even with casinos on them is when I'm actually, right, because of boxing. And I can't tell you how many people come up to me and thank me for what I've said on this program. Over the last several years, I even got a feather presented to me by a tribal chief at one point because I just championed this cause, right? People feel deeply about this. And obviously I wasn't even aware that it was this kind of an issue. I just put myself in their position. How would I feel about a derogatory name being used? These studies that Snyder and his lackeys trot out, the methodology has been criticized heavily because it hasn't been good. That's how they arrive at the numbers, showing, see, so many don't really care. In fact, there have been subsequent studies showing, no, in fact, people are very deeply offended, and here's what's wrong with the methodology used in the studies that Snyder has pointed to. It's so past due. Stephen A., when I was 8 years old, this is not a new phenomenon for people who understand history at all. I remember asking my father, that's when I really started following the NFL in around 81. Really following, not just know who Mean Joe Green is in the Pittsburgh Steelers, but really following it. And I turned to my father, I said, wait, that's okay? They call it a team that? He goes, yeah. I said, and he shrugged. He's like, it shouldn't be, but it is. That was 1981. It's 2020, brother. 2020. What took 40 years for enough people to catch on? Shame on people who didn't catch on sooner. However, if the time has come for it to change, then rather than wagging my finger at them for taking so long, I think we should welcome the change. And that is all to say, you're damn right Snyder's going to change the name. If not today or tomorrow, sometime soon, he will stand up there and obediently change the name.
Max, let's simplify it, please, for our listeners, our viewers. The fact of the matter is if Nike, FedEx, and PepsiCo elect to pull their support of the Redskins franchise, unless Dan Snyder is going to change the name, then he will change the name because it's about money. It's always been about money, and that's the reality of the situation. We can call Dan Snyder insensitive. We can call him a lot of different things because of his refusal to change the name, but we can't do that by avoiding to discuss reality. The reality is that he thought having the name would be financially beneficial to him, and as a result of that, because of the marketability of the quote-unquote Washington Redskins brand, it would affect his bottom line if he changed it. That's why he didn't do it, and that's why he's held on to it so doggedly. Now, we can lament the fact that money mattered to him to that degree that he wasn't willing to compromise in the interest of sensitivity and beyond, but nevertheless, that's the reality of the situation. And so because we see that, these firms consisting of 87 different companies worth $620 billion have penned a letter with signatures on it demanding that he change this name, or they're going to pull their support and they're going to try to encourage Nike, FedEx, PepsiCo, and others to do so as well. That will be the impetus necessary to provoke Daniel Snyder to make the change that a lot of us feel he should have made years ago. Even Charles Mann, a former player for the Washington Redskins that was, he was there before Daniel Snyder ever took over. over ownership when Jack Kent Cooke was owning the team. And my friend, the late, great George Michaels, God rest his soul, had interviewed Jack Kent Cooke and talked about the need to change the name or whatever. And Cooke was adamant he isn't doing a damn thing to change it. Charles Mann went on the air and said, hey, the fact that it affects one person of Native American descent should be all that we need in order to change this name. If it's offensive to them, it should be offensive to us. And it still was an incentive for the predecessor to Daniel Snyder to change the name. So Daniel Snyder adopted the same mentality because he had been convinced that it would be against his financial interest to do so. Now it seems that people are highlighting and illuminating for him it will be against his financial interest to keep the name. So you're probably right, Max. The change will probably come. I'm just making the point. That is what it will take. It ain't going to be a heightened level of sensitivity. It ain't the times that we're living in or anything like that. It comes down to the dollar.
That's why the companies are behaving this way,
streets
Stephen A.
protesting today. Hold on. We heard you. I got it. But the point is, people are in the streets right now protesting and stuff like that. Let's not forget, it's going to come back to the dollars and cents. That is what is going to incentivize and provoke change, not sentiments or sensitivities. Dollars. Unfortunately, that's the reality.
That's what affects the dollars.
Well, listen, we all know that Daniel Snyder is a billionaire. Okay, you don't become a billionaire by making rash or stupid decisions. Man has built a tech empire, and that translated to him buying the Washington Redskins. So for him, it always comes back down to dollars and cents and money. And it doesn't matter if the Washington Redskins aren't exempt from this. We see it in all types of industry, in our industry, other television industries as well. Once people start coming at you from that perspective, pulling their dollars that directly funnels into your team, it's going to force your hand.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.